Right. So I'll just
Right.
like pause for people to reflect on their own, maybe for the
Right.
recording. We'll
Right.
see. We'll just, or maybe I'll just talk through. You start recording whenever. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me come in and speak tonight. My name is Jennifer Gorton, and I'm one of the therapists at the Counseling Center here on campus. You can see all the little acronyms behind my name. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I'm also nationally certified. And recently, myself as well as everyone in the counseling department became certified as telemental health therapists. Because of COVID and all of our programming is now, our services are being offered online. This evening, we're going to discuss a few things. First of all, I'm going to go over just kind of the basics of the services that counseling and consultation provides here on campus and our role. And then we're also going to talk about kindness to ourselves as well as self-care. All right, so just as an overview of the counseling department, all of our services are free for enrolled students, and they're also confidential. And I have those underlined because that's really important. We get questions like, do you take my insurance, or are you going to disclose things to the dean of students if I tell you? And so don't have to worry about insurance. There's no copay. Our services are free, and they're also confidential. We're not, even though we're affiliated with the university, we're not disclosing information to professors, parents, or like I said, the dean of students office. We also have same-day appointments. Not everyone understands this or realizes this. We call them E-appointments, for emotional crisis appointments. The different counselors in the office rotate days, and we keep 2 open appointments a day available for kind of like walk-ins. Now we don't have people in our offices because of COVID, and we're doing everything online, but students would just call to make an appointment. Those are a first come, first serve, so we tell students to call in the morning because those do fill up. We talk to students about all different kinds of things, anywhere from anxiety and depression to homesickness, concerns about classes. So really a whole bunch of different issues that we're helping students get through. We also follow what we like to call a brief counseling model. And so how I explain it to students is we're kind of solution focused. People come to us and we talk about things in the here and now and try to get them over this like bump in the road. If students are interested or in need of longer term services, like say they want to meet with someone weekly for their entire time here at Northern, we often help them find a provider in the community who can better fit their needs. But again, we work with students with that. We also offer individual and group therapy for students, except for this semester and maybe next semester. Right now, we're just doing individual. Group therapy is on hold because, again, our services are through telehealth. That means online, and so we're not currently equipped to offer group, but we're hoping to get that in motion soon. We also coordinate, we call it coordination of care. So we coordinate services with like the health center, different NMU departments, community providers. We help students really get the resources they need to. And I put a little clarifier on the end that this is always with a signed release. So again, confidentiality is our number one concern. And so we wouldn't be disclosing information to another department or someone in the community without the express permission of the student. And again, that's in writing. This is also something that everybody understands about our department. So we're called Counseling and Consultation Services. And the consultation means that we're available to talk with faculty, staff, students, if they have questions. So sometimes I'll have a faculty member or a staff member call our department and say, I have a question about a student that they're coming and they might be depressed. Can I have a little bit more information about your services, or how would should I handle this situation? So we never disclose if that student is coming to us for services, but we're here to offer help and guidance and maybe advice for people calling. And again, people can just call and speak with a counselor when they're available. We also do, and this is one of my favorite things about my job, different educational presentations and outreach, kind of what I'm doing tonight. And then we also have a pretty extensive mental health library. It's a little bit trickier this semester because, again, we don't have people in our office, but we have lots of books, and if someone's interested in a specific book or specific information, all they need to do is call our offices and we can coordinate that. So these are the individuals in our department. As you can see, we're missing one person. Currently, the Dean of Students, Chris Greer, is our interim department head, but we're going to be resuming a search here after kind of COVID and everything settles down. But as you can see, the individuals and the therapists in our department have all different kinds of credentialing, and we come from different backgrounds, which makes us really unique and a really great dynamic department to work with. So these are our happy faces. One update here on the bottom here, I have Shelly. She's also an LPC like myself. She, this semester, is actually a professor here, and so she's no longer part-time, but I didn't get a chance to update that. So going on with more information about our department, we're located in Hedgecock, which is really nice. We're located with all the other support services, I kind of like to say. So financial aid, career services is right across the hall. We're on the second floor. We're right also down the hall from housing and residence life, so it's really convenient for students. It's also important that the student is the one that they make the appointment themselves. So sometimes we have parents call or we have friends call on a student's behalf, and that's wonderful that people are concerned and reaching out, but it's very important that the student themselves is the one requesting and making that appointment, and they do that by calling our offices. Our center follows university hours, so we're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We are also open in the summer, and I put that in bold because there's always someone who asks about that and asks if we're open during the summer. And yep, we're open. Like I said, we follow university hours, so we're open in the summer as well. It's a modified schedule, so we're open 7:30 to 4, same as the other departments here in Hedgecock. So we understand that things happen, crises happen outside of that 8 to 5 or 7:30 to 4 timeline when our offices are open. And so there's lots of other resources for students on campus. The number one thing I always tell students and anyone calling is that if it is an emergency, it is appropriate to call either the NMU Police Department or 911. The other top crisis helpline that we recommend is Dial Help. It's located right here in the UP. Students can text, call, or chat online. It's a really great resource. Other hotlines are listed below, including the National Suicide Hotline, Pathways, and then again, I put the emergency department's address on there just as a reminder. And all of these resources are available on our website and also at the NMU or my NMU login, which I can show you in a future slide here. TAO, we've been really promoting this. Let me show the little sticker. I don't know if anyone's seen some of the posters on campus of this little cat. Can you guys see? And there's all kinds of information. There's stickers, and I know there's different bigger posters, but TAO, T-A-O, stands for Therapy Assistance Online. And so we call it an online therapy toolbox. And again, this link is on our website as well as on the NMU login page or my NMU login page. And it's a great resource for students. There's kind of like educational, like almost like YouTube videos on there. There's different self-assessments, different tools, a mindfulness library. It's a really great program for students. Maybe they're not quite ready for therapy. We also, some of us therapists, use this in conjunction with therapy sessions to have students watch in between sessions. So it's a really great resource for students. And like I said, all of these resources are available on the Counseling and Consultations homepage, as well as on the My NMU login. And as you can see, it's right on the right-hand side under Mental Health Resources. Okay, so I know there's only a few people here, but I wanted to pause and just ask if anyone has any questions about the services that we offer or anything that has to do with counseling. Oh, Janelle, I think you're...
There it goes.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna pause the recording when you have questions or like input, just in case people want to ask questions without it being recorded, since
Okay.
that's
Yeah, this as interactive as possible, and I was hoping to hear from people, but I just wanted to check in. I know that presentation, so really this is very near and dear to my heart. Self-kindness and self-care, I think, are so incredibly important, and people often will think of this in very general terms, that, oh, you know, I don't have time for self-care, or they think of this as something like really specific, like a bubble bath or something very indulgent. And this will actually, I have a little YouTube video that we're going to go over that's going to explain it in more detail. But it's really more than that. If you think of yourself as like almost like a pyramid with like a foundation, at your base, you really want to be taking care of all of your core needs, like food, water, shelter, sleep, and self-care is right down on there, so that you have a solid foundation, so you're able to build on it, all these other things and all these expectations that you have in your life, like work and school and family and relationships and all this stuff. So I'm just going to go ahead and play my video. Fingers crossed. I have full disclosure, I was having trouble with my videos, and lots of pop-ups were coming up with ads that I was having a hard time with. So fingers crossed I can find my cursor, this goes smoothly. And if it doesn't, I will be practicing a little bit of composure and self-kindness to myself. So please cross your fingers. Just taking a moment to load. And for some reason too, the screen doesn't want to cooperate with me. So we're going to do it in theater mode, which isn't quite as nice as full screen.
When we think about self-care, we may see candles and a bubble bath because that's often how the media depicts self-care. But it doesn't always feel good in the moment. In reality, self-care is any activity that a person would engage in to reach optimal physical or mental health. It is often seen as the activities that refuel us rather than take away from us, but that isn't always the case. Sometimes self-care means checking a few things off your to-do list, like paying bills so that you can reduce your overall stress levels. It's also important to note that self-care is going to look different for everyone. So it's important to find activities that are going to be effective for you. Things to consider when thinking about self-care are those activities that are going to make you feel mentally well in the long term, like getting enough sleep, eating a healthy diet, getting some exercise, and practicing mindfulness. Those activities aren't always pleasurable for many people, but you can consider what healthy meals make you happy, or how you can incorporate small amounts of exercise into self-care in a way that you do enjoy, like walking to the park. The next things to consider would be those activities you naturally find relaxing or pleasurable, like taking yourself to the movies, or having a night in with tea and a good book. It's also a good idea to consider social activities you enjoy with the people you care about. Having the support of other people in your life can go a long way. Self-compassion is a form of self-care and an important skill to learn. How we speak to ourselves and treat ourselves is so important, as we interact with ourselves more than anyone else. It's okay if you're not good at it now. Many of us aren't. Self-compassion is really no different than being compassionate toward others, but it's those same thoughts and actions turned inward, treating yourself like you would treat a friend.
Okay, so any thoughts on that little video? Kind of, I like it because it kind of captures the idea really nicely, that it's not just these indulgent things that we do for ourselves, like bubble baths, but it's really something that you can incorporate in your day-to-day rituals, like the way you talk to yourself, and just maybe even staying on top of things so that, you know, you're taking care of yourself in the long term. So I have time set aside to kind of talk about this a little bit. If anyone has any thoughts on self-care or kindness or anything from the video. Care, and this can be anything. It's very individual to the person. I guess it's individual to the individual, but you want to have a nice, healthy combination of processing and distracting techniques or activities. And so there's just kind of some things on this slide, but breaking down processing, those are things where you're like working through, like maybe talking to a friend about a problem, or going to a therapist and talking something through, journaling. Those are getting things that are in your head kind of out there, and so that you can work through them, the whole idea of processing. Distracting is just the opposite. Distracting are activities that take you out of your headspace for a while. So sometimes throughout our day, we feel like all of our stuff it's like this. And it's very hard to focus on anything else except for whatever this is. So I encourage people, instead of pushing down, because that's not healthy, things start to bubble up then, is give yourself permission to set it down to the side for just a little bit and do something distracting. And distracting can be all different things. It's very specific to the individual. Like distracting could be reading, it could be working out, it could be skydiving. I mean, it could be just anything that you do to distract yourself and feel good in the moment. I always say that you can't live in processing world, otherwise you would just be always in that headspace, and you can't live in distracting land either, because you would never really process or work through any of the things that are going on in your life. So you want a nice, healthy balance between this. And this is where people can get really creative. So I was just kind of throw it out there, like, what are ways that you can be kind to yourself or treat yourself well? And like, what are areas of really successful self-care that you have? And I know we have a very small group, so if people don't feel like sharing, they absolutely don't have to. But if you have something that you wanted to share. So this is another thing. I know people often talk about meditation and like mindfulness and grounding. Those are really buzzwords and very common right now. And I am I call myself a hummingbird, and I have students that we talk about being a hummingbird. So I'm a more high-strung person. I have hard time staying in the moment. Grounding and meditation activities are very hard for me. I'm like multitasking, go, go, go. So someone told me about like a year ago that you'd be talking about meditation. I would have thought, oh, I can talk about it, but I don't always practice what I preach. And then I had an opportunity to attend this really lovely seminar that was just on happiness. It was a 6-hour seminar just on happiness, and they talked about this loving kindness meditation. And it's pretty common. It's something that they often teach to children. It's just like a basic meditation practice. Has anyone ever heard this before? Loving kindness meditation. There's YouTube videos on it. I'm not seeing any responses, so I'll just kind of jump in and explain it. So what it is, it's these 4 very, very lovely sayings. So I send you happiness, I send you health, I send you strength, may you be filled with peace. And I went through those very quickly, but you could just do them very like calmly and quietly to yourself. But the idea is you think of four people. The first one is you think of yourself. And so you say this lovely reflection. I send myself happiness, I send myself health, I send myself strength, may I be filled with peace, right? Because you are the most important person in your life, and you need to take care of yourself. You start with that. And then the second one is someone that you really care about, right? So it's easy. It's easy to send someone that you love all this happiness, this really good positive energy. Then the third one is a neutral person, just someone, maybe it's the person who gave you coffee at Starbucks in the morning, or I don't know, an Uber driver, someone that it doesn't really have a whole lot of emotional value for you. So you send this energy to them. And then the fourth person is the harder one. This is the person that maybe is more hostile in your life, or someone that has been put on your path for you to learn this lesson, and it's very difficult to learn this lesson. They're a struggle. So you send them this energy as well, this meditation. And it's something that I try to do every day. It's just really lovely. I also have these words written on a sticky note at my desk, and I try to just reflect on them just for myself. And I find just even saying them is just it just kind of fills me with like a sense of peace. It's just kind of nice. So I put this up here just to share with you guys that it's another form of like really positive self-talk, positive energy. And it's also energy and positivity that you can send out to other people. Okay, so just kind of reviewing and recapping what we went through. Again, I can't stress this enough. Our services at our department are free and confidential, no charge. We're located in the upstairs of the Hedgecock building. Again, we're year round, not just open during the school year, during the summer as well. Students make their own appointments and they call right now because of COVID. Our office is working all of our services online. And then that dial help and TAO are really great resources for students, and all of those numbers that I shared are available on the homepage as well as the My NMU login. And again, my 2 things, so be very kind to yourself. In the long run, this is going to help you become more successful rather than being mean to yourself, right? And again, self-care, take care of yourselves, because if you can take time out and do something kind for yourself now, it's going to really benefit you in the long run. All right, so again, there's just a few of you, and I know we're recording this, and so if there's people watching this, if there's any questions that came up while you're watching this or listening to this, I encourage you to call our offices or else email. I caution people about the email though. There's disclaimers on all of our email communications that email is not a confidential means of communication. So if someone has something personal or private to share, I would not necessarily encourage them to send that in an email. That might be something that they would want to call and speak with a counselor about. Okay. So does anyone have any questions now though, before I continue to my last little slide? I have another little video.
I do have one comment to throw
Yeah.
in here, just to specify that graduate students are students, and so they do have access to these services as well. I know it always comes back that even some people working on campus get that confused sometimes, and that's certainly open to them.
Absolutely, thank you so much. Yes, I can't stress that enough. All enrolled students are eligible for services. Free services, confidential. So yeah, and if you have any questions about that or interested in making an appointment with a counselor, just call our number here. So, all right, and then I think it's just what a big thing about self-care is taking time for humor and laughter. Humor is so powerful. It can be like a light switch almost. If you're down and sad and you watch something funny, it can really brighten your mood right in that moment. So I wanted to share this video with you. I switched it up at the last minute because actually the graduate student in our department shared this with me. She thought it was funny. So I will share this with you. Fingers crossed everything works. It's just a short little video, under 2 minutes.
Yeah. What can I do for you? Zapatero, ¿qué opina usted del gobierno de Zapatero? Pues igual que yo. ¿Y qué opina usted? ¿Qué opina usted del gobierno canario? de los ayuntamientos de la isla.
So that was just a short little funny video. I hope it caused you guys to smile. I laughed when I saw it, so I thought it was appropriate. Sometimes we all just want to yell and scream at the end of the day, and that can be great self-care as well, just going outside and be like, oh, just kind of letting it all out. So that's the end of my presentation. If anyone has any questions, please unmute yourselves if you want to. If you don't want to ask questions now but have something, please reach out to our offices, and we'd be happy to talk to you and offer supports.